All right, so hi everyone. My name is Trina Arnold. My pronouns are she and her, and I am a senior instructor in the College of Nursing at the University of Manitoba, and currently the Director of Faculty Development in the College of Nursing as well. Jess?
And yeah, I am Jess Crawford. I use they, them pronouns. I am a Master of Nursing student at the University of Manitoba.
Great. Today we're here to learn about part of your thesis work with undergraduate nursing students and their experience with cisnormativity. We're hoping to hear from you what nursing education can do to move into what you call gender inclusive and affirming practices. So to get us started, can you tell me a little bit more about cisnormativity? What does that even mean?
Yeah, so cisnormativity is a big word that essentially is the naturalization of cisgender people. And so cisgender is a term that means non-transgender people. So people whose genders align with their sex assigned at birth. And cisnormativity is the ongoing process of making cisgender people normal and morally acceptable while simultaneously othering trans and gender diverse people, rendering trans and gender diverse people abnormal and immoral.
Okay, so it sounds like cisnormativity transcends multiple settings. And in your work, you talk about how it impacts multiple levels of learning. Is that right?
Yeah, so in my thesis, I talk about or I draw from Hafferty's three levels of curriculum. And so there's the formal level, which we commonly think about, which is planned learning. So learning in the classroom, things that are on your syllabus, in your textbooks. There's the informal curriculum, which is learning from communication, conversations with peers or faculty or in clinical, for instance. And then there's the hidden curriculum, which is learning from the environment. So that would include policies, physical spaces, signage, and that kind of thing. And so as per the students' experience, they felt that cisnormativity, that normalization of cisgender people, and the erasure of trans and gender diverse people was across each of these three levels.
So it sounds like from what you're saying, each level is important in its own right. What are some of the consequences of cisnormativity permeating each level?
Yeah, so each level is important and influential, and we often think about the formal curriculum as having the most impact, but the hidden and informal curriculums are actually more impactful. But the two big ones were that they were unprepared to care for trans and gender diverse people, so people who needed gender affirming care. And trans and gender diverse students, who made up 44% of my participants, experienced shared really important perspectives and experienced a number of harms from cisnormativity, such as the invisibility across the formal, informal, and hidden levels. And this led to them questioning their place in nursing, even.
Okay, so that sounds really problematic. We really need trans and gender diverse nursing students to support a diversifying workforce that supports diversifying patients. So it's really important. A sense of belonging is especially important. So what can we do in nursing education in this situation?
Yeah, great question. So there were a number of really awesome suggestions from student participants. They were really engaged with this work, and they had some suggestions to move from cisnormativity towards that gender inclusive and affirming practices. So gender inclusive and affirming practices move away from just that focus on gender affirming care, which has sort of been coming into nursing education, really looking at the formal, what we're teaching students, if we're teaching gender affirming care and how. And so this is really focused on patients. But gender inclusive and affirming practices expands across the three levels of curriculum to recognize that trans and gender diverse people are in the classroom. They're among us in education, in our workspaces, in hospitals and clinical settings. And so these practices are really seeking to validate, affirm, and empower people of all genders with particular supports for trans and gender diverse people. And these practices aim to disrupt that cisnormativity.
Okay. So what were some of the suggestions that students had for moving beyond cisnormativity?
There were five key areas. They suggested normalizing gender diverse content in the formal curriculum. They really wanted educators to have training about this content. Having accountable School of Nursing policies and procedures was important, such as clear pathways to navigate instances of anti-trans discrimination and associated remediation processes. They wanted increased trans and gender diverse representation in schools of nursing, so not just among students, but staff, educators, and leaders. Beyond nursing education, students felt that gender inclusive and affirming practices from licensing bodies, accreditors, government, and health systems could also help to disrupt cisnormativity.
Awesome. Those are really incredible suggestions. Thanks, Jess. And you've given me lots of great ideas, so thank you. It's really important work. So how can folks learn more about this?
Yeah, so I will add some resources to the end of this video, and one of those will be my website, which offers my recent publications, including the student portion of my thesis. Folks can also email me through there and get in touch, and we can have a conversation.
Great. Thank you so much for this conversation, Jess. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thanks.